The day the bell rang twice. The first bell echoed through the long silver corridors of the Terran Academy. It was a calm morning, the kind that usually began with laughter, quiet chatter, and the soft hum of hollow screens lighting up in every classroom. The students, a mix of humans and a few alien cadets, hurried through the hallways with glowing data pads in their hands. They believed it would be another normal day of lessons and drills. At the far end of the corridor stood Instructor Mara Vance, tall, composed, and silent. Her uniform was simple, but carried an old military insignia on the shoulder, one that none of the students could recognize. She had once served in wars that most of them had only read about, but she never spoke of it. Only the small black bracelet on her wrist, faintly glowing blue, hinted at her past. As the last student entered, Mara raised her voice, calm but strong. "Take your seats," she said. The room fell silent immediately. Her voice had the kind of authority that did not need to be loud. Every student obeyed, even those who normally whispered or joked during lessons. She began teaching about discipline and control, about how every soldier must first master themselves before facing an enemy. Her words carried a strange weight, as if she wasn't teaching theory but remembering something old and painful. The students listened closely, not knowing that this lesson would soon become real. Outside, the sky shimmered with faint golden light. The Academy's protective dome reflected the sunlight beautifully, but beneath the calm, something strange was happening. The hum of the city generators deepened, vibrating through the floors like a heartbeat growing faster. One of the alien cadets raised his hand. "Ma'am, the power fluctuation again?" he asked nervously. Mara nodded slightly. "Stay focused," she replied. Her tone was too calm, too controlled. Then came the second bell. It wasn't scheduled. It rang louder, sharper, and the sound didn't stop after 3 chimes. It kept ringing, echoing through every corridor, followed by a voice over the intercom. "All instructors, secure your classrooms. This is not a drill." The lights flickered red, holographic lessons vanished. Replaced by emergency warnings, the students froze. Some thought it was a training exercise, but the fear in Mara's eyes told a different story. She walked to the window. Outside, the clouds twisted into dark spirals. A shadow covered the sky, and in that shadow, massive black ships descended slowly, alien in design, sharp and angular, glowing with red energy veins that pulsed like living metal. A murmur ran through the class. "Who are they? Is this part of the defense test?" "They're not supposed to be here." Voices overlapped. Mara didn't answer. Her hand moved to her wrist, touching the black bracelet. The faint blue glow became stronger. Then the Academy shook. The ground rumbled as something heavy struck nearby. A deep explosion rolled through the air and outside the window. Flames rose where the courtyard used to be. The intercom voice cracked again. "Unidentified hostiles breaching the west gate. Repeat. This is not a drill." Mara turned to her students. "Under your desks now," she said. Her calm tone made them move instantly. Desks scraped against the floor. The younger cadets ducked for cover, and the alien students exchanged terrified glances. The door burst open with a blinding flash. Dust filled the room, and 3 armored figures stepped through the smoke. They were Vorn soldiers, towering and heavily armed. Their armor gleamed with crimson sigils, the mark of a species long thought extinct. Their leader aimed a plasma rifle directly at Mara. "Human instructor," the alien growled. "Surrender your facility." Mara stood completely still. The students watched her in silence. Hearts pounding, the alien soldiers moved forward. Confident, certain of their power, Mara's eyes darkened. Her hand slowly reached for her bracelet. It clicked open, metal plates unfolded across her arm, forming an ancient Terran combat gauntlet. The air around her shimmered as energy lines lit up from her wrist to her shoulder. She whispered almost gently, "You picked the wrong classroom." Before the aliens could react, she slammed her hand against the floor. The magnetic field surged, knocking the nearest Vorn off balance. His plasma shot went wide, burning a hole through the ceiling. The students screamed, but Mara didn't flinch. Her gauntlet glowed white-hot. The bracelet had unlocked something older than the war itself, the last weapon of the Terran Valkyrie Corps. The lead alien recovered, raising his weapon again. "You cannot stop." Mara smiled coldly, interrupting him, her voice calm, steady, almost kind. "Class is over," she said. From the storage rack behind her, she drew a long silver blade, thin, curved, and glowing with faint blue runes. The blade sang as she swung it once, cutting through the smoke. The Vorn soldiers stepped back, confused. That weapon, impossible, one hissed. Mara's expression didn't change. Lesson 1, she whispered. Never underestimate your teacher. Then she moved faster than they could see. The last thing the students heard before the lights went out was the sound of her blade cutting the air, and the second bell ringing once more, echoing through the ruins of the academy. The blade that remembered. The classroom was filled with smoke and silence. The air shimmered from the heat of plasma fire, and the walls were scarred with deep black burns. Through the haze, the only thing that moved was Mara Vance. Her blade glowed faintly blue, humming with strange rhythm. The alien soldiers lay motionless, their armor split open by clean, precise strikes. She stood between her terrified students and the ruined door. Breathing slowly for a moment, nobody spoke. Even the alarms had gone quiet. Only the faint hum of the weapon filled the air. One of the students, a small alien girl from the Moorin race, peeked out from behind a desk. Her wide eyes trembled as she whispered, "Instructor, what was that?" Mara turned her head slightly, her voice calm. "That," she said softly, "was an old promise." She looked down at the blade. The metal shimmered like liquid light, etched with Terran runes and battle codes older than anyone in the room. It was called Aegis 9, a weapon bound to its user's bloodline, a relic from the Valkyrie Corps. Mara had sworn she would never draw it again, not after Titan's fall, not after the war that broke her world, but now. The past had come crashing through the academy gates. Outside, the city screamed, through the shattered windows. The students could see flames rising from the east tower. Dropships thundered overhead, releasing waves of alien troops onto the streets below. The defense turrets were firing, but the sky was filled with enemy ships. "Everyone stay here," Mara ordered. Her tone left no room for argument. She stepped toward the door, the blade pulsing brighter. A human student stood up shakily. "You're going out there alone?" he asked. "There are hundreds of them." Mara looked at him, her expression soft but unchanging. "Do you know what a teacher's job is?" she asked. The boy blinked. "To teach us?" She smiled faintly. "To protect those who still have lessons left to learn." She stepped into the hallway. The door hissed behind her, sealing the class inside. The corridors of the academy were a battlefield. Fallen soldiers lay across the floor, their armor cracked, plasma rifles smoking beside them. The lights flickered, turning red and white in fast rhythm. Mara moved like a ghost, each step silent, her senses sharp. Every corner of her mind was calm, trained, and deadly. The Aegis 9 whispered in her hand, not in words, but in memories. Each movement triggered fragments of her old battles, the shouts of her fallen comrades, the endless night of Titan's fall. She turned a corner and saw more Vorn troops advancing. Their heavy steps rattled the metal floor. Their leader barked orders in a guttural tongue. Mara crouched low, waiting as they passed. She struck one clean swing, the first soldier fell, then the next. Her blade carved arcs of blue light through the darkness. Sparks flew, weapons clattered, but her movements never broke rhythm. Within seconds, the hallway was silent again. She pressed her hand to a wall panel. The academy map flickered alive. Her eyes scanned the data. The enemy had breached 3 levels. Command center offline, communications jammed, all available defense drones destroyed, Mara whispered under her breath. They came prepared. Her bracelet pulsed once. Detecting an incoming signal, she tapped it, and a voice answered through static. "Vance, is that you?" "Captain Rel," she replied. "Status bad," the voice said. "The Dominion has landed a full battalion. They're hunting for something inside the academy. We're trying to regroup on the lower level." Mara frowned. "They're not here for the academy," she said quietly. "They're here for me." Silence on the line, then Rel's voice again. "You're not serious." "I wish I wasn't," she said, glancing down at the Aegis blade. "They want this weapon." Before Rel could answer, the comms cut, static hissed in her ear, and then a massive explosion shook the floor. Dust fell from the ceiling. Mara looked toward the stairwell, and her instinct screamed a warning. She leapt aside just as a plasma bolt tore through the corridor, blasting a hole in the wall. A huge shadow stepped through the smoke, towering above her, clad in obsidian armor etched with the red symbol of command. The Vorn general himself. His voice thundered through the hall. "Mara Vance! Of the Terran Valkyries," he growled. "Surrender the blade, and your students may live." Mara raised her weapon slowly, her stance lowering. You made a mistake, she said coldly. You came to a school, the general roared. His energy axe flaring red, he charged forward, smashing the floor as he swung. The impact sent shockwaves down the hall, but Mara was faster. Her blade met his axe with a blinding flash. Blue against crimson, the walls cracked, sparks rained down, and the hum of her weapon grew louder. The blade remembered, it pulsed with every heartbeat, sinking with her will for a brief moment. The entire academy felt it, the awakening of an old human power long forgotten. The general snarled. That weapon should not exist, Mara smiled faintly. Eyes cold. Neither should mercy, she whispered. And then, with one smooth strike, she unleashed a flash of blue light that cut through the smoke, through his armor and through silence itself. The lesson in fire, smoke, and red light filled the academy corridors. The walls trembled from the echo of battle, and alarms screamed like wounded beasts. Mara Vance stood over the fallen Vorn general. His massive armor split open by a single glowing cut. His weapon still sparked beside him, a reminder of his arrogance. Her students were safe behind the sealed classroom door, but she knew that safety wouldn't last long. More dropships were descending outside. She could hear their engines through the ceiling. Like thunder rolling across metal skies, she tapped her bracelet. A holographic panel opened. Aegis system. Activate local defense grid, she commanded. The bracelet flashed red. Command override denied. Defense AI offline, said the cold synthetic voice. Mara's jaw tightened. Then we do it the old way, she whispered. She turned toward the stairwell. The floor was littered with debris and alien corpses. The once bright halls now dim under smoke and fire. As she moved, she saw flashes of old memories. Titan's burning sky, the faces of her squad, the sound of her captain's last order. Protect the young, no matter the cost. That voice still echoed in her mind. She reached the lower level where the academy's central core was located. The heart of the school wasn't just filled with computers. It also housed something far older, something most of the staff didn't even know existed. The Echo Core, a dormant AI left from humanity's first wars among the stars. 2 injured soldiers crouched behind a barricade, firing weakly at incoming alien troops. Mara slid beside them. Her presence startled them at first. Then they recognized her insignia, ma'am. You shouldn't be here, one of them said, bleeding from his arm. The Dominion has full control of the East Sector. Mara's eyes didn't waver. Not for long, she said. She picked up a fallen rifle, checked its charge, and handed it back to the soldier. Keep them busy. Then she moved forward through the smoke. The Aegis blade glowed brighter as if sensing the enemy ahead. 3 Vorn soldiers emerged from the dark hallway, their armor humming with red energy. Mara struck before they could aim. Her movements were swift, almost like dancing, each strike followed by a flash of light, each step silent as dust when the last one fell. The others behind them hesitated. They had never seen a human move like that. Who are you? One of them hissed, stepping back. She didn't answer. She raised her blade and pointed toward them. The energy around her pulsed brighter. A faint hum began to grow, not just from her weapon, but from the very floor beneath them. The lights flickered, the metal walls began to vibrate, and then the entire lower level came alive. From the shadows, silver drones unfolded from the walls, their eyes lighting up with blue energy. The Echo Core had awakened. Its deep voice filled the halls. Ancient yet powerful. Identification confirmed. Valkyrie command code recognized. Mara exhaled softly. Welcome back, old friend, the AI responded. Command protocols online, defense mode activated. Dozens of drones hovered beside her, targeting the incoming alien waves with precision beams. Plasma fire lit up the corridors, red against blue. The academy had become a war zone. The Vorn forces realized too late what had been reawakened. They tried to retreat, but the drones cut through them mercilessly. Their armor cracked under the focused beams, explosions shaking the metal walls amid the chaos. Mara advanced toward the core chamber. Her goal was simple: secure the power conduits before the enemy could overload them. The Dominion didn't just want to kill, they wanted to erase history. As she entered the chamber, the light stabilized. The huge crystalline heart of the academy pulsed slowly, its glow reflected in her eyes. It felt alive watching her echo, she said softly. Link to city defense denied, the AI replied. Main network destroyed, external nodes offline. She clenched her jaw. Then we make our stand here. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the intercom, deep and mocking. So the human Valkyrie still fights, Mara froze. She knew that voice, it was General Korvath, commander of the Dominion strike forces, the same warlord she thought had died during the siege of Titan. You survived, she said quietly. Survived? His voice laughed. You call this survival? You stole something from us, Mara Vance, the last Valkyrie. You carry the weapon that should have belonged to my kind. She tightened her grip on the blade. You destroyed planets for that weapon. You burned colonies. You killed my people. And yet, Korvath replied, here we are again, teacher and student. His image appeared on the cracked holoscreen, towering, monstrous, eyes burning like molten gold. When I take the blade, he said, the galaxy will remember who its true masters are. Mara's eyes hardened. No, she said coldly. They'll remember the day a teacher taught the stars what humanity really means. She turned to the Echo Core. Prepare all reactors for overload lockdown. The AI hesitated. Warning, this will seal the entire academy, I know, she said. That's the point. She looked once more at the burning hallways on the security feed. Her students, huddled together, waiting, the faces she had sworn to protect. And with that, she whispered to herself, Lesson 2, never stop fighting. Outside, thunder shook the skies again as another wave of alien ships descended. But this time, the academy glowed with blue light. The Echo Core roared to life and the Terran defense grid rose once more. The Valkyrie's last lesson. The academy shook as the first wave of Dominion troops crashed against its steel walls. Explosions lit the horizon, and the once peaceful campus was now a fortress of fire and chaos. Inside, Instructor Mara Vance stood at the heart of the command chamber. Surrounded by flickering holoscreens and the humming pulse of the awakened Echo Core. Defense lines active, the AI intoned. Outer perimeter breached. Secondary shields holding. Mara's face was calm, but her eyes burned with focus around her. The last remaining Terran soldiers and security cadets worked in silence, rerouting power, sealing doors and arming old defense turrets that hadn't fired in decades. The air smelled of ozone and smoke, and every vibration in the floor meant another explosion somewhere above. One of her cadets, the same boy who had asked about going alone, spoke nervously. Ma'am, how can we win against them? They've got ships, tanks, everything. Mara looked at him, and for a second her voice softened. We don't win by having more, she said. We win by remembering who we are. She walked to the center console and placed her hand on the control panel. Echo, link my combat data to all surviving drones. The AI hesitated. Warning, this action may cause neural strain. Do it, she said firmly. A surge of light rippled through the room. Data streams burst across the holograms, connecting her mind to the drones. Each one began to move as if it shared her instincts. Precise, coordinated, and ruthless. The academy itself had become an extension of her will. Outside, the alien armies advanced. Hundreds of red-armored Vorn warriors charged through the burning gates. Plasma fire filled the air. The academy's automated turrets whirred and opened fire, beams of blue slicing through smoke and armor alike. But the Vorn kept coming. Their rage was endless. Their numbers vast in the sky above. Korvath's command ship hovered like a dark crown, its cannons glowing as it prepared a final strike. His voice thundered through the comms. You think you can stop the Dominion with ghosts and children? Mara raised her head toward the ceiling, her voice steady. No, she said, but I can teach you one last thing. She turned to her cadets. All of you listen, she commanded. If this wall falls, you run east toward the evacuation tunnels. Follow the drones. Don't look back, the boy shook his head, but you. That's an order, she interrupted. The Echo Core pulsed brighter. Its blue light flooded the chamber like dawn breaking through the smoke. Energy reserves critical, the AI warned. Redirect all remaining power to the shield array, she said, and charge the outer ring cannons outside. Massive rail emitters unfolded from beneath the academy courtyard. Long hidden beneath decades of peace, they hummed with deadly energy. Old Earth-made railguns, silent for generations, woke once again. The alien ships shifted formation. Sensing the threat, Korvath barked new orders. His fleet began firing plasma bursts, but the blue barrier around the academy held. Mara closed her eyes for a moment, whispering to herself, my final lesson. Then she raised her hand. The Aegis blade lit up brighter than ever before, and Echo amplified her command across every turret. Every drone, every weapon still capable of firing. Fire! The railguns unleashed a storm of light. The sky turned white. The blast tore through the nearest Dominion ship, breaking it apart in a chain of explosions. The shockwave rippled across the battlefield, flinging alien troops backward. The students in the shelter could feel the earth tremble. The walls cracked, the lights flickered, and the hum of the core grew unstable, ma'am, Echo warned. The power surge will collapse the main reactor. Mara smiled faintly. That's the point. Korvath's image appeared again, his voice now furious. You would destroy yourself for them? She looked directly at him, her tone calm. I'm a teacher, Korvath, she said, and you just failed the final exam. The reactor behind her reached overload. Energy spiraled into the sky like lightning seeking a target. The Aegis blade resonated with the pulse, and for one final instant the Academy glowed brighter than the sun. When the light faded, the Dominion ships were gone, vaporized in a silent storm of energy. The sky cleared, leaving only drifting embers and falling ash far below in the tunnels. The surviving students watched the light fade. One of them whispered, "She did it." The alien girl who had first spoken in class wiped her tears and said softly, "She kept her promise." Above them, the ruins of the Academy still glowed with faint blue light, and among the ashes, the Aegis blade stood upright in the ground, untouched, its runes still shining, waiting for the next one who would learn its lesson. Echo of the Valkyrie. The world above had fallen silent. No more thunder, no more plasma fire. Only drifting smoke curling into the pale sky. The Terran Academy was gone, reduced to broken towers and glowing ash. But deep underground, in the old evacuation tunnels, life still stirred. The survivors moved carefully through the dim corridors, their faces lit by flickering emergency lights. The group was led by the same young cadet who had once asked Mara if she could win alone. His name was Eli Tran, and though his uniform was torn and dirty, his eyes burned with determination. Behind him walked the others, 10 students, 3 wounded soldiers, and the small alien girl from Morin Prime, clutching a data crystal close to her chest. They stopped near a sealed blast door, the metal surface still warm from the reactor surge above. The walls vibrated faintly with the hum of residual energy. Eli placed his hand on the control pad. "Echo," he whispered, "are you still online?" For a moment there was only static. Then faintly a voice replied. Identification confirmed, student Eli Tran. Command link restored, everyone gasped. The AI had survived. "Echo," Eli said quickly. "Instructor Vance." "Is she?" Silence followed. Then the voice spoke again, softer this time. "Instructor Mara Vance has fulfilled her final directive, but her consciousness remains active within the Echo core." The alien girl looked up, her voice trembling. "She's still alive?" "In a way," Echo replied. Her neural imprint merged with the Valkyrie network during the overload. "She is part of the system now." The students exchanged looks between fear and awe. The thought that their teacher had become one with the ancient AI felt impossible. Yet comforting, Eli stepped forward. "Can we talk to her?" "Access requires authorization code," Echo said. "Initiate lesson protocol." Without thinking, Eli said, "Class is over." The corridor lights flickered. A faint blue shimmer filled the tunnel, and slowly, an image began to appear in the air. A hologram of Mara Vance, her face calm, her eyes glowing faintly with digital light. "Hello, students," she said gently. Her voice echoed through the corridor like a whisper from the past. "If you're hearing this, it means the lesson isn't finished yet." The students froze, some crying silently. Eli swallowed hard. "Ma'am, we thought you—" She smiled faintly. "No tears," she said. "A teacher doesn't leave while her students still have work to do." Her hologram turned toward the alien girl. "You have the data crystal, don't you?" The girl nodded and stepped forward. "Yes." "Instructor, that crystal contains what the Dominion came for," Mara said. "It's not just a weapon, it's knowledge. The blueprint for something older than war. The Terran resonance engine," Eli frowned. "I thought that was a myth." "Most myths are born from truths too dangerous to keep alive," Mara replied. Her voice wavered slightly, almost human again. "The resonance engine can change the balance of power in the galaxy. It can reshape energy itself, build or destroy with equal ease." The students exchanged worried looks. "So what do we do now?" the alien girl asked. "You learn," Mara said softly. "You survive, and you make sure humanity never forgets what it means to stand alone and still fight." Her image flickered. The blue light dimmed for a moment. Echo's power is fading, she said, but before I go, there is one final order. Eli stepped closer. Anything, ma'am. Go to the silent station. At the edge of Jupiter's orbit, Mara said. There you'll find others. Remnants of the old Valkyrie Corps, waiting for the signal. What signal? Eli asked. Mara smiled faintly. This one, she raised her hand, and a wave of blue light burst from the hologram, sweeping through the tunnels and up into the sky. It rose like a beacon through the smoke, visible even from orbit on distant colonies, on forgotten human outposts across the stars. Old systems began to awaken. Dormant satellites flickered to life, and ancient Terran codes pulsed through the void. The Valkyries were calling home. As the light faded, Mara's image grew faint. Remember? Class, she whispered. The galaxy may forget our names, but it will never forget what we taught them. Her image vanished, leaving only the soft hum of the echo core. For a long moment, no one spoke. The student stood in silence, surrounded by the faint blue glow of her memory. Then Eli turned to the others, his voice steady. You heard her. We move at dawn. The lesson isn't over. The group nodded. A quiet strength filled the air, not from fear, but from something deeper. Pride outside. The stars above Earth burned brighter, and for the first time since the invasion, the universe felt like it was listening again. Far above, in the ruins of the academy, the Aegis blade still stood in the dust, faintly humming, waiting, as if it too remembered the promise. The silent station awakens. The shuttle drifted quietly through the shadow of Jupiter, its hull scarred, its engines flickering. Inside sat the last survivors of the Terran Academy, faces pale under the faint blue glow of the cockpit lights. Eli Tran watched the gas giant swirl outside the viewport. His reflection looked older now, not in age but in the eyes. They all carried that same look, the kind left behind after war. The alien girl, Rena of Murin Prime, sat beside him, clutching the small data crystal. Are you sure this is the right place? She asked, her voice trembled between doubt and hope. Eli nodded. The instructor said we'd find them here, he whispered, staring into the vast storms below. She never lied to us. The shuttle's scanners beeped softly, detecting something ahead, a faint metallic silhouette buried within Jupiter's magnetic veil. At first it looked like a moon fragment, but as they drew closer its shape became clear. A colossal ring structure floated in the gas clouds, half broken, half asleep. Lights flickered weakly across its frame, forming the outline of an ancient Terran station. The silent station, Eli murmured. The name fit. It looked like a ghost. Watching the planet for centuries, they approached slowly, guided by the last lines of Mara's encoded message. A docking bay opened as if the station had been waiting. The shuttle entered through clouds of frozen debris, and the bay doors sealed shut behind them with a hiss. The air inside was cold, dry, untouched for decades. Dust floated like stars. The group stepped out carefully, their boots echoing in the vast silence. Rena held up her wrist scanner. Power levels are near zero, she said. No life signs. Then let's wake it up, Eli replied. He walked to an old control panel covered in frost. Brushing it clean, he inserted the data crystal. The moment it clicked, the floor hummed. A pulse of blue light ran through the metal walls, then another, like a heartbeat returning across the station. Lights flickered to life. One by one, long dark corridors began to glow, revealing towering banners with faded Terran symbols, old Valkyrie insignias, and massive hangars filled with silent starships. The others gasped. There must be hundreds, whispered one of the cadets. Eli smiled faintly. No, he said. Thousands. The AI's voice returned, this time clearer and stronger than ever. Echo link established. Welcome. Descendants of Earth's guardians. Eli's eyes widened. Echo? You're alive. I am everywhere, the voice said calmly. Instructor Vance integrated her consciousness with my core. Her presence guides the systems. You have awakened the last fleet of the Valkyrie Corps. Rena stepped forward. Instructor Vance, can you hear us? For a moment, static filled the air. Then a familiar voice echoed through the vast hangar, gentle and commanding. I hear you, class. Everyone froze. The sound was unmistakable. Mara Vance, her hologram, appeared above the hangar floor, taller now, wearing her full Valkyrie armor. Her blade rested across her back, glowing faintly. You've done well, she said. You found the silent station. Humanity's last sanctuary, Eli stared up. Instructor, what is this place? This is where the Valkyries were born, she explained. And where they were meant to rise again when the galaxy forgot what humans were capable of. She looked around the group, her tone soft but steady. The Dominion believes they destroyed Earth's warriors. But they never understood. The Valkyrie code was never in our weapons, and it was in our will. Rena's eyes shimmered. Then what do we do now? Mara's hologram smiled faintly. Now you train, you rebuild, and when the time comes, you remind the stars why humanity survived every extinction. As she spoke, massive machinery stirred around them. Starships powered up, wings unfolding like metal wings of angels. Their hulls shimmered with ancient Terran runes, each one a story, each one a promise. Eli felt the deck vibrate under his feet. He looked up at the largest vessel, its name etched in Old Earth script. TSS Phoenix Dawn, Rena whispered. It's beautiful. Mara's image turned toward the ship. That was my ship, she said quietly. And now? It's yours, Eli shook his head in disbelief. Ours? But we're just students. Her hologram smiled again. So was I. Once. Silence filled the chamber as the fleet's light stabilized. Echo's voice spoke again. Power restored to 93%. Weapons offline for safety mode. Mara nodded. You'll need to learn control before you earn fire. Eli turned to his team, determination returning to his face. Then let's start, he said. Lesson 3, never let the galaxy forget Earth. The others nodded. Their fear replaced by purpose. They didn't just see old ships and they saw hope. Outside Jupiter's storms raged on, lightning flashing across the crimson clouds. And within its orbit the silent station glowed brighter. Like a hidden sun awakening from a 1,000-year dream. The Valkyries were no longer gone. They were waiting, reborn through the courage of a teacher's students and the promise of one final lesson yet to come, the return of the Valkyries. The silent station drifted above Jupiter like a crown of light. No longer a ruin, it now pulsed with blue power. Its vast hangars echoed with the hum of awakening engines. Eli Tran stood on the main command deck, gazing through the panoramic glass at the fleet stretching beyond sight. Hundreds of Valkyrie ships, sleek silver, alive again after centuries of silence. The glow from their thrusters reflected in his eyes behind him. Rena of Murin Prime worked beside the other survivors. They wore mismatched uniforms, part cadet, part soldier. But every movement carried purpose. From the overhead speakers came that familiar, calm voice. Good morning, class, Mara Vance said, her tone gentle yet strong. Today's lesson is reclamation. The crew smiled. Some saluted the air as if she could see them. Echo's digital tone followed. Long-range scans detect Dominion movement near Saturn's orbit. Fleet size, 4 capital ships, 20 support vessels. Eli's hands clenched around the railing. They're coming for us. Mara's hologram shimmered into being beside him. Armor radiant, blade at her back. No, she said softly. They're coming for what's left of their pride. Rena turned toward her. Instructor, are we ready to fight? Readiness, Mara answered, is not measured by fear, but by resolve. She looked at them all, her digital eyes bright. And I see resolve. The command deck lights dimmed. Replaced by tactical blue holograms, the fleet moved into formation. Ships aligned in rings around the station. Old battle code names flashing to life. Aegis Line. Dawnwing, Echo Spear, Mara raised her voice. To all Valkyrie pilots, today we remind the stars who we are. Across every ship, young voices answered, Valkyries awake. The engines roared, shaking the station. Blue trails streaked into the dark. The silent station was no longer silent. Eli entered the cockpit of the Phoenix Dawn. The seat adjusted automatically, recognizing new command DNA. The controls lit up in Terran script older than his grandfather. Pilot recognized, the system said. Command link established, Phoenix Dawn ready, he said, one by one. Voices echoed through comms. Vanguard 2 ready. Echo 3 ready. Shield wing online. Rena sat at the navigation console. Eyes wide, all systems green. Then Mara's hologram appeared on the main screen. Smaller now, almost human in scale. Remember your lessons, she said quietly. Lesson 1, fear teaches nothing. Lesson 2, mercy defines strength. Lesson 3, never forget Earth. The Dominion fleet emerged from the far shadow of Saturn. Red lights flared, their ships huge and angular, energy cannons warming like suns. Korvath's voice thundered through open frequencies. You live still, Ghost. Mara's reply came calm. I teach still, and with that the stars ignited. The first barrage of plasma streaked across space. The Valkyries moved as one, weaving between the beams. Their formation curved like a silver storm. Echo drones deployed, flooding the void with blue counterfire. Eli felt the ship move like an extension of his own body. Every maneuver instinctive. Guided by the echoes of Mara's neural code, he shouted, All wings! Focus fire on the command dreadnought. The fleet responded instantly. Energy lances tore through the black. The Dominion flagship shuddered, its shields flaring red. Korvath's voice roared again. You cannot defeat us with relics. Mara's tone never changed. Relics built the galaxy. Her hologram spread through every ship, synchronizing the crews. Her presence was the fleet's heartbeat. Each order perfect, each strike timed to rhythm. The Valkyries moved like a single mind born from her memory. One Dominion cruiser exploded, then another. The debris lit the dark like falling stars. But the enemy flagship turned its main cannon toward the silent station. Power surged across its spine. Preparing to obliterate everything, Eli saw it. They're targeting the station, he shouted. Mara's hologram looked toward the blast zone, calm as ever. Then we show them what silence sounds like. Echo's voice filled the comms. Core reactor unstable suggestion, convert to resonance pulse. Mara nodded. Approved. The silent station began to spin slowly, gathering energy. Its rings glowed brighter and brighter until they burned white. The sound reached even through the vacuum. Low, deep, ancient. Korvath screamed, What are you doing? Graduation, Mara said. The station released the pulse. A wave of pure resonance expanding outward. It tore through the Dominion fleet like a sunrise, turning weapons to dust, shields to mist, and leaving only silence in its wake. When the light faded, the space around Saturn was empty. Only fragments of red armor floated, dissolving into nothing. The Valkyrie fleet hung quiet, engines cooling, crew staring at the aftermath in disbelief. Eli exhaled. We did it. Rena looked at him. Tears glimmering. No, she said softly. She did. On every screen, Mara's hologram appeared one last time. Her form flickered, fading gently. Class dismissed, she whispered. You've learned all I can teach. Her image dissolved into a field of blue light that spread across the fleet, merging with every system, every ship. Her essence becoming part of the stars she once defended. Eli saluted the empty space where she had stood. Thank you, instructor, he said quietly. The Phoenix Dawn turned toward Earth. The fleet followed. 1,000 blue trails crossing the void, above the swirling clouds of Jupiter. The silent station dimmed again, drifting peacefully in orbit. A monument to a teacher who never stopped teaching. And in the endless dark where silence once reigned, the legend of humanity's Valkyries began again.